Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available on the Township's YouTube page. All the information obtained is considered part of the public record. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda, please? From Wenda and Sherry, all in favor? That's carried. Oh, I will acknowledge that Councillor Woodcock is with us via Zoom or some equivalent platform. Hi, Crystal Lee. Any declaration of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? None declared. We have a statutory public meeting before we get into our full council agenda. This is a bylaw amendment application, and the numbers are there for you. Pursuant to Section 34 of the Planning Act, as amended, notice is hereby provided that an application to amend zoning bylaw has been received by the Township and will be considered at this public meeting. Any person may attend this public meeting and speak to this application. Alternatively, persons may submit comments in writing to the Planning Department at least a week ahead of this meeting, at which the application is being considered. The purpose of this zoning bylaw amendment application is to satisfy a condition of the provisionally approved consent applications as numbered to rezone the provisionally approved severed and retained parcels to ensure consistency with the policies of the Township's official plan. Proposed severed parcel D is to be rezoned from rural to site-specific hamlet residential to recognize the existing residential uses and reduce lot frontage on County Road 14. Proposed severed parcels A, B, and C are to be rezoned from rural to hamlet residential to permit the proposed 0.5 hectare lot area and 45-meter road frontage on School Road. The proposed retained parcel is to be rezoned from rural to site-specific hamlet residential to ensure consistency with the policies of the Township official plan, given the lands are entirely located within the hamlet of Enterprise. The effect of this zoning bylaw amendment application is to facilitate the land division of the subject property into 5 separately conveyable parcels. The consent applications received provisional approval at the Committee of Adjustment meeting on December 11th, 2024. And is someone going to speak to this application? Mr. Sands.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Beside me is Mr. Harmson. He's the owner of the property and the proponent for this overall development plan. And I thought it might be best that the two of us approach council this evening to provide an overview, given the fact that there's a history in it with respect to these applications that have already been considered by the Committee of Adjustment. And I can answer any of that historical background and provide the overview. And of course, as the property owner, Mr. Harmson can provide any of the details that may be more applicable to him than I. So with respect to a bit of a background, as you already know, in December of 2024, the Committee of Adjustment heard the applications for consent as it relates to 4 lots being subdivided from this original landholding, 3 of which front School Road north of Enterprise Public School, and the 4th being the severed parcel at the southernmost portion of the lands, which is the existing house, former livestock facility, and accessory structures. The 3 lots, A, B, and C, that are proposed at fronting School Road are proposed to be 0.5 of a hectare in area, so 1.25 acres with 45 meters of frontage, and that's what our zoning bylaw and our official plan policies speak to as being the smallest, if you will, lots that could be created in a village to minimize any consumption of land that might occur on, for example, agricultural uses, to protect and preserve the viability of those lands while allowing for intensification, given the fact that we're still servicing these lots on private well water and sewage disposal systems. So they're 0.5 of a hectare and 45 meters of road frontage. And of course, hamlet residential zoning is the only zone that allows for those that size of parcel to occur, and it's currently zoned rural. So one of the reasons for this application is to rezone that from a rural zone to a hamlet residential zone to allow for that lesser lot area. While we're talking about those parcels, one of the other conditions of the provisional approval from the Committee of Adjustment is that the applicant complete a hydrogeological study to the satisfaction of our peer reviewer, given those lesser lot areas. And that, I understand, is being completed as we speak. The wells have been drilled and the study's ongoing, but we're still able to proceed with the processing of the file while that works, and we're not in a position to come back to the council with any form of recommendation until that's been completed. As it relates to the southernmost parcel, which essentially follows the existing tree line around the existing development, single-family dwelling, is to recognize the exact location of the on-site development to date that occurs, and the existing access from County Road 14 that is been in place for some time. From a zoning perspective, again, this property is currently zoned rural. It's in the village, so it allows for agricultural uses, and historically, as many of you are aware, this property has functioned as an agricultural farm and has had livestock. From a policy direction, that's contrary to what we have in our policy set. Because we've designated the property hamlet and the county has designated the property as a rural settlement area, we foresee the future uses to be not agricultural in the sense of housing livestock, and actually encouraging more diversified uses such as institutional uses, residential, commercial type uses. So through this application, we're proposing to rezone that existing former unoccupied livestock facility to prohibit future livestock on that site, which is again aligned with our policy direction, although historically we understand that it's happened. So from a zoning perspective on the southernmost parcel, the rezoning application would be to a site-specific hamlet residential zone, not just a straight hamlet residential zone, because we want to restrict and prohibit agricultural uses, specifically livestock. And secondly, we also want to recognize the frontage. As many of you can see on the sketch, it's sort of a inverted hockey stick shaped parcel in the sense that the frontage that comes down onto County Road 14 is very narrow. Approximately 10.5 meters is what the surveyors have identified as being the road frontage. 10.5 meters is undersized, as we've talked about in the hamlet residential zone. 45 meters of road frontage is what's required, and through the site-specific zoning, the applicant's proposing to recognize essentially that long-standing reduction in frontage on that southernmost portion of the parcel. One of the questions I anticipate, so I'll jump to it now, but it's not really long-standing because School Road has always provided the frontage that would provide access to the property. So if we cut the lot off north of the house, then you truly are then only left with 10.5 meters of frontage. So how can you then say that it's legal non-conforming? And that's a great question. That's ultimately what it is. It's not legal non-conforming anymore if you're creating a new lot. We're then into recognizing that it is only 10.5 meters of frontage. And from the applicant's perspective, and this was all discussed at the Committee of Adjustment, from that discussion point of view, it's always functioned as being the primary access to that dwelling. The agricultural uses, of course, have garnered access off a School Road to get bigger equipment, agricultural equipment, for example, into the farm. But the access to the dwelling and to the residential, primarily the residential use or component of the property, have been from County Road 14, and 10.5 meters of frontage has functioned appropriately for several decades, if not a century, in this location. So that's the request through this application for rezoning in short as it relates to that parcel. The retained parcel is 12.8 hectares in area, maintains 83 meters of road frontage on School Road. And this is where we have through the zoning amendment application, is to essentially put a holding symbol on that parcel, because we want to recognize the longstanding agricultural uses of the property and allow for that to continue, but from a planning perspective, we don't want to see it intensified from an agricultural perspective with the creation of a livestock facility, for example, or an intensive use that would be contrary to our policies of it being in a settlement area or the hamlet. So through the same application, we're proposing to rezone it to essentially allow for the continuation of agricultural uses, haying, crops, production, but not necessarily the keeping of livestock until there's a further plan as to what the applicant may want to do with that property, because at this time it's not necessarily been confirmed, at least to staff. Lastly, from an overview point of view in the north, I want to point out the proposed potential lot addition. The parcel that, and the civic address escapes me at the moment, of the existing long-standing property that fronts School Road that's developed with a house is significantly undersized, as you can see, based on relativity to the neighboring properties. And through this application, or through this process, the proponent has considered a 0.3 hectare lot addition, which would essentially square the lines and allow for the functionality of that property to exist in better capacity. For example, a new septic system and a well on a 0.2 of a hectare lot is pretty challenging to fit. So Mr. Harmson's given his attention to the potential for that if it comes forward, and designed the lots accordingly. Through the public notification process, and I say that times two, because we once in the fall proceeded to the Committee of Adjustment, and we held a public process and had public input, and we're here again this evening to welcome additional public input. There's no decision or recommendation being provided to council. We have received correspondence from Mr. Detler, who's a neighboring property owner, and I believe he's joined us here this evening. Thank you, Mr. Detler, for providing me confirmation you're going to attend this evening, so we look forward to having this discussion. And if I understand it, it relates primarily to ownership of the adjacent property immediately east of the southernmost corner of this property, as well as the potential or desire to have an easement over Mr. Harmson's property in favor of Mr. Detler's property. I'm not trying to take away from your presentation this evening. I just wanted to introduce the topic, if you will, and recognize to council that the Committee of Adjustment also had that position brought forward to the committee, and we as staff are cognizant of it. It's something that we're committed to investigating with our lawyers and bringing forward, before bringing forward any recommendation to council for their ultimate decision. As council's aware, tonight is solely an exercise of garnering public input. We provided notice in accordance with the Planning Act, notice on the property in a sign, circulation to the neighboring property owners within 120 meters of the whole of this landholding, as well as notice on our in the Napanee Beaver, sorry. So that's, I think, an overview from a planning, a historic processing point of view, how we got into this stage. Again, the property owner, Mr. Harmson, can provide anything I may have missed before I answer any questions of council and or the public.
Thank you, Jason. So I think at this point, it might be good to hear from Mr. Detler. I know it's sort of to one side of the zoning considerations, but would you mind coming up to the mic? Yeah, if you press that silver button, it'll activate the microphone, and the floor is yours.
Okay. We got to get this organized here. I'm not sure how to, I'm not a public speaker or nothing, but I just got some concerns about the property and the right-of-way that goes up to the property. As you can see it on there, my lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 2, 3, and 4, encroach onto that right-of-way, and for some reason I've lost them from surveys or something, that's what I'm told, but this is the first thing I wanted to see about is it says the legal description, it says part of lot 37, concession 8, lot 2, block L, like it's saying that it's a whole It's the whole lot too, is that what it's saying, or? Yeah.
Something I can't comment on.
Okay, understandable, but I just want you to, and then it says parts 4 and 5, I don't even know where 5 is. But anyways, that was another thing that I had a complaint about.
You own 2 and 4.
Yeah, I own 2 and 4, but anyways, I'll just read my deed out. I'll get my deed. Like when I bought this property, I understood that I owned lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then my lawyer said I couldn't own the right-of-way, so he said I had to get it surveyed off, but I wouldn't lose the title and the interest and everything. And this is how he worded it on my transfer of deed. It says all parts lots 37, concession 8 in the township of Camden East, in the county of Lennox and Addington, and all that part of lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, registered plan 90, which is, this is what they're talking about, and that's surveyed it off. But then it goes on to say that in the village, and designated as part 1, and being more described in attached schedule. Then it goes to this attached schedule, and this is where he explained it to me. I'm not going to lose control of that, the edge of my lots that are in the right-of-way there. But anyways, it goes all that part of lot 37, concession 8, and Township Enterprise, and all those parts of lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, and registered plan 90, block L, the village of Enterprise, all in the county of Lennox and Addington, designated as part 1, reference plan. That's going back to my deed again. It's stating I own everything on that side, but then it goes on to say that together with all rights, titles, and interests of the transferee, which was a previous owner, transferee in all of lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. So he's given me all of the title of, and where was it? All the right, title, and interest in those lots. And then if you do a title search on the land, and the previous owner owned everything back in 1965, and it goes back to 1957. Everybody owned it. Everybody owned all the property back then, so. And then I've got like a lot of money tied up in just this stuff here. Like, all I want to do is, I just need that, oh, I did, you want me to read that for this, or?
So you just say the 167.
Oh, yeah, and then it says that all my lots, and even the survey says I own 167 feet along the front of my lots there.
County Road 14.
That would be
On County Road
on the
14.
county road, yeah.
And all 167 feet comes right up the middle of that driveway, and there's a pin right in the middle of that driveway, and it goes right straight up the middle of that driveway. And it's always been understood, I've cut the grass in that for 25 years, and I've always taken care of it. I was always told it was a right-of-way, and then I got these notices, and I come in on December the 14th, and they said, no, you don't own nothing. You don't got no right there even to be, you shouldn't even be on that land. I said, well, I got deeds, titles, and title searches and everything stating that nobody's ever given that land up. Nobody's ever said anything about giving title of it up even, but I don't necessarily need to, I just need access to the back of my property on lot 4 because it's up on a big hill there, and I can't get around the other side of the house because I'm going through my septic system and that, and the other side's all blocked off. But anyways, I've been trying to get someone to work with me on this and just try and, like, I don't mean to try and do something that I'm not supposed to be doing. I just want what I bought. Like, that's what I bought. I was told that's what I was owned and sort of thing, so.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
So you've made this clear to Jason Sands
Yeah.
already, so he's aware of the information.
Yeah, and he told me that when I had it surveyed, I gave it away, but I talked to a lawyer, and I've been to numerous lawyers and stuff, and they said, no, you don't give it away. When you do a survey, it just gives you that's the legal limits of what you own, but he said, you didn't give away your rights and your deeds and all that stuff.
The survey still says 167.
Even the survey here does still say it's 167 feet, and it's measuring those lots and everything. Like, I don't get it. Like,
Okay, yeah.
and this is the lawyer gave me this to read. I don't know. I have significant concerns regarding the proposed plan currently under consideration by the Township Council. particularly due to the impact of my continued use of the land to access my property. The purpose changes may severely restrict or alter my ability to use this land, which has been my primary means of accessing my land for years. Any disruption to this access could cause undue hardship, both in terms of practical concerns and potential finance costs for alternative solutions. Furthermore, as a long-term standing resident of the area, I have invested considerable time and resources into maintaining this access point. It is primarily troubling to consider that this proposed plan may not adequately take into account the historical ongoing use of this land for residential access. I urge the council to consider the impact of these changes. I believe that balanced approach is necessary to ensure that both development goals and the rights of current property owners are respected. If the right-of-way being used is access for severed land is public, I have no issue. That's it, okay.
So Mr. Sands brought up the fact that that driveway right-of-way doesn't meet requirements, so what is going to be done about that?
My lawyer told me it should be 66 feet, and to get the fire equipment and stuff up that driveway and stuff.
Yeah.
It's only, actually, what is it, 30?
Well, it's 10, he said.
No, it says on mine it's 34 feet, 9 inches.
Yeah, that'd be about 10.5 meters, I
Oh,
guess.
is it? I'm
Yeah,
not
roughly,
speed.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for that submission. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
I just, I just want the right of way there. I
Yeah.
guess that's what, everybody had bought the place. Me and him, we talked, and I always made friends with Chuck and, I don't know, all the other people, and we always had an agreement. I could use it whenever I wanted to, and I used to go up, use the back, get in and unload furniture. I had a big door in the back of the house and unload wood and stuff, and that's all I use it for. Like, I'm not using it for anything else, but I just don't want to lose that access.
Sure.
because
Yeah, I understand
Once
that.
it's sold or somebody buys it, they might put a big fence up there and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I've had problems with some people there, but that's besides the point.
And the
Okay.
167 does show to half of that roadway.
There is a pin right in the middle of that driveway, I know there is.
Okay. This will be something that'll have to be legally determined. Council can't make
I
any
understand,
decisions on
he's
that.
talking to his lawyers.
Yeah.
He's,
Okay.
but,
Any questions for council for Mr. Detler? No? Okay. Thank you very much for your submission.
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Any other comments or questions from council for Mr. Sands or Mr. Harmson at this time? Yes, Councillor Lalande.
Just looking at the potential lot addition, I don't understand what Part 1, it's the little square that's sort of east of that potential lot addition?
Part 129R 810.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
in the corner
that's
there,
it,
yeah.
yes.
I wondered about that,
So
too.
what, I'm assuming that belongs to the Part 1 that's north of it? And if that's true, what's the access to that potential lot addition?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the little lot between the proposed lot addition lands and School Road is currently a separate lot owned privately, and the address is 134 School Road. It's developed with a house right now. So the proposed lot addition that's shown as 0.3 hectares would be added to that little lot to make it the same size as the 3 that are proposed to be severed. It would just be for a future expansion should that property owner wish to expand their lot and make it more functional.
So as of now, under the proposal, that potential lot addition would be part of the retained parcel? It's just a little corner piece then. Okay, that's fine. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Yes, Deputy Reeve Davison.
Jason, we are looking into the right-of-way, the laneway. We are looking into that now, into the legalities of it. And the reason I asked that question is I do know in past history, there's problems with lot lines in Enterprise.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, great question, Deputy Reeve. We are committed to that. My comment would be that Mr. Detler has obtained a new legal representation, and we've just received recent correspondence, and I request or ask of him to share the correspondence that you read this evening so that we can provide that to our solicitor as well, because it's a matter that we want legal opinion on as opposed to just staff in-house.
Okay, anything else from anyone? Very well then, thank you very much. Yeah. Can I have a motion to receive public comment? Deputy Reeve Davison, Councillor Milligan, any comments or questions further to that? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. That's the end of our public meeting. The next item on the agenda is open forum. No one has registered for open forum. There are no presentations, but we do have a deputation under 7, Lieutenant Nathan Maleska and Captain Leanne McCauley, regarding Firefit 2025 request for special event exemption insurance coverage. The recommendation is the council receive the delegation and consider the request under item 8.2 further. Can I get a motion to that effect, just to get this on the floor? Deputy Reeve Davison, Councillor Lalonde. Welcome. We don't have to give you another award or anything tonight, do we?
Not today.
Okay, yeah.
She's
all
here
right.
on time, so absolutely we should.
I mean,
I know, that's why I moved my chair.
so both a world champion and a punctuality sufferer, okay?
Yes,
All right.
sometimes.
All right, sort of balances out.
It does balance, yes, very well.
The
So
floor
we-
is yours.
We
Go
do
ahead.
have those 2 requests that you mentioned, but we thought we'd take this opportunity just to kind of update everyone on where we've come and where we are in the planning process. We now have a location, which is behind the Tamworth Fire Hall. We now have a date, which is August 23rd, 24th, that weekend. It actually, I'm going to mention that it's actually the 22nd to the 24th. So we've elected to do what's called a corporate challenge, which is where you allow local businesses or team members or whoever would like to up to 5 people. Council, they can put a team in and enter the competition and then partake in Firefit and get the experience. So we're working through that just yet. We haven't quite put it out there publicly yet, but that's something that we decided was a good factor. Like even our families are going to try to get involved. We're going to try to get some people involved. But through this, we've also decided we don't want to just host a Firefit. We're trying to make something that people, when they come to our community, they're going to stay here. So what we've tried to do is we're adding some vendor markets and some like a beer garden and some other things that are going to go on simultaneously with it, so that when the competitors are done, they're not just going to leave and go back to their hotels. So we're going to try to keep them here and experience our whole municipality if we can. So this year too, we have, again, one of the largest teams. We have over 22 people that have entered to partake in our event, which is huge, and the largest team in all of Canada, pretty well. So, and when you put that in perspective, we have 90 firefighters in our whole municipality, and to have that many members partake in it is, well, it's unprecedented, because a place like Toronto maybe fields a team of 6, 8 people, and we have 22. It's nice for us to have it in our community. Now our families can actually kind of be here, because some of our extended family have never seen us compete. So it's just something, again, we just want to say thank you once again. Because of all the support you guys have given us over the years, we also decided to take on another challenge, which is try to raise money to use as little money as possible that you have given to us. So we actually have received quite a bit of sponsorship. It's kind of overwhelming already, the amount we've been able to come up with. So we're hoping to not use any of council's money, but not going to promise anything, just. So the reason we are here tonight is that request, is that we could potentially use some insurance, some of your insurance, and we would be more than willing to offset any additional cost with the beer garden or whatever that may look like, as well as waiving the special events permit.
Okay, any questions from council or comments? Yes, Councillor Lalonde.
So do you need a motion for this?
Coming up later on the agenda, actually under 8.2, is that? Yeah, so we'll decide on that at that point, so. Okay, well, that's great. If council's going to enter a team, you'll want to definitely have your defibrillator on hand.
We'd be more than willing to assist you get prepared too.
Happy to.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The beer garden is after the event, so. And it's a local brewery too, is what we've tried to use as well, so.
Well, it sounds great, and the enthusiasm is infectious. I'm really looking forward to it. And by the way, in case anyone doesn't know, Nathan's been moonlighting doing rescue outside of the boundaries of our township.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what happened there, Nathan? What was going
It's
on?
nothing that no one else in the entire fire department would do. I'm not looking.
I
I was on
realize-
the 401 and a vehicle rolled over in front of us and it caught fire when it rolled over and the person was stuck inside. So myself and a few other people got out, went into the vehicle and pulled the guy out.
So did you see the rollover?
The dust was just in front of us,
Wow.
like it was just on the horizon. What was that? And then when we got there, the car was on fire and stuck driver's side down. So we just broke the back window, myself and the truck driver, while Zach Hodgen put the fire out while we went into the vehicle and pulled him out. And then
Boy.
just rendered some first aid until the ambulance got there.
So it was just a single occupant?
Single vehicle
Yeah.
accident, yeah.
Yeah.
Something happened and he kind of lost control and went down a bit of an
Yeah.
embankment.
Boy, he's lucky you guys were on his tail.
Well,
eh?
it's just timing. That's what I mean. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
We would just happen to be there
Just,
that time.
just with our gear.
No
Yeah.
gear, no
Oh,
gear.
you
I
didn't
was
have gear?
no gear on. No, we just went in. The car was filling with smoke and he was stuck inside, so.
Wow, and the driver was okay?
He's okay, actually. It
Yeah.
turns out that the co-op teacher from Napanee High School is very good friends with him and he's reached out and gave him my contact, so.
That's
Haven't
awesome.
spoken to him yet, but he's very thankful. So.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
Well,
yeah, like I said, it's not anything that,
yeah, I know, anybody
else
would have done it, but it was you and your colleagues that did it, so that's great. I'm glad
Thank
you
you.
were on the spot. Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll
Thank
deal
you
with the
once
other-
again for all your support. The
Yeah.
rest of the team, we have some other people on our team that have come from other municipalities and we tell them how supportive you guys have been over the years and
People are blown away.
they can't believe
They
it.
can't.
Really?
Other competitors, yes,
They're
so.
so blown away by it.
Huh,
So
Yeah.
thank you once again. That's
Yeah.
all we can say is thank you. very
All
much.
right.
So,
Yeah.
well, thank you.
thank you, guys.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we have a
Shoddy
motion.
downstairs.
I think we had a motion on the floor, didn't we, Randy? All in favor? That's carried. Thanks very much. Okay, number 8 is items for consideration. 8.1 is our budget bylaw. After all our work, it's finally coming to fruition this evening. The recommendation is that bylaw 2025 to be numbered, being a bylaw to adopt the estimates of all sums required for 2025, be enacted and passed, and the Reeve clerk be authorized to sign and seal. Can I get a mover and seconder to that effect, please? Councillor Milligan, Councillor Fenwick. Okay, CAO White.
Not much to add to the report, other than that it doesn't take long for a lot of things to change. And we are navigating some challenging times when it comes to financial predictability, buying power. I'm still confident that staff and has done a good job here at trying to present a balanced budget as far as considerations for this year and the future, and trying to put our best foot forward as far as knowing what we need to do, predicting what we think some of those costs are going to be, and then we'll be closely monitoring costs as we execute on the plans that are contained within the budget, and then updating council should any kind of seismic shifts occur due to some of the things that are happening nationally and internationally with some of the things that we acquire. So it's murky times, and we will do our best with the resources that are provided to us through council and through the community and our funding streams.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions or comments on the budget? We've certainly gone over it in detail in our budget meetings. I think it was a pretty good process. I know that a budget increase of over 4% is not something we're used to the last few years. We've been used to half or less than that, but I think given the realities of the market, we have probably done well to keep it under 5%. When you look around at municipalities in the province, similar municipalities, some of their budget increases are considerably more. And we're still in a situation where MPAC has not done an assessment since before the pandemic. What impact that will have if and when they finally get around to doing it, we don't know. But all we've got to work with is is the existing assessment, so that's what we've done. Any comments at all before I call the question? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. 8.2 is the aforementioned Stone Mills Firefoot Team request for exemption of special event permit coverage. The recommended motion is that the report entitled Stone Mills Firefoot Team Request for Exemption of Special Event Permit and Insurance Company coverage be received, and that council approve the exemption request and direct staff to request that the township insurance policy provide coverage for the Firefoot competition. Can I get a motion to put that on the floor, please? Councillor Land, Deputy Reeve Davison. Any discussion? Any questions? I think it's pretty clear and simple. All in favor then? That's carried. All right. 8.3, policy for deeming events as municipally significant. This is something Brandy's been looking into. The recommendation is that council receive the report entitled Policy for Deeming Events as Municipally Significant, and that the bylaw, being a bylaw to adapt a policy for deeming events as municipally significant, be enacted and passed, and the Reeve and clerk be authorized to sign and seal. Clerk Teeple, did you want to elaborate on this?
Thank you. Through you, Reeve Wise. So this is a common policy adopted by municipalities. So in order to obtain a liquor license from the Alcohol Gaming Commission of Ontario for public outdoor events, sometimes event holders require a designation, if you will, from their local municipality. So it's typically done by way of motion from council deeming the event as municipally significant. So a policy just puts a process for obtaining those requests for staff, council, and those requesting the significant event. So everyone's on the same page and has a clear understanding of expectations and how that is processed.
Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Fenwick.
Yeah, it was very interesting reading this. It's something that we haven't explored before, obviously. But I'm curious, it says here that we had to have a minimum of 100 folk there, 100 people. And I'm just curious, is that an absolute requirement, or do we have flexibility on that? I'm just thinking about if we had an awards event or something, or someone had that, or I don't know, a small wedding reception or something, or significant guests, like a minister or something, where it's an invitation only thing. Just wasn't sure how much that 100 person is required.
Through you, Reeve Wise, so the Alcohol Gaming Commission doesn't provide guidelines on when a municipality designates an event as municipally significant. That's up to the municipality to come up with those guidelines. So in review of other municipal significant event policies from neighboring municipalities, some of them have minimum attendance levels. Private events aren't subject to a special occasion permit. This would only be for public events. So council could, if they wish, to lower it to 50, or they could make it so our special event permit is attendance up to more than 250. So you could up it to 250, or you could lower it. It's really at council discretion. But private events wouldn't be subject to this policy because they don't have to go through that same process as a public event.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I rephrased that a little bit. I guess I was thinking about, I know that, for example, the Enterprise Hall has a bar that's always there. In the past, it was a special occasions permit. It was quite a process to go through it. I think Newburgh, am I correct to think that it's a special occasion permit as well, still in that vicinity? Yeah, that's right.
That's correct, yeah.
So I was just thinking about, I guess I was thinking what I mean by a private event is that they rent one of our facilities, but it's not a township-run entity. I don't know exactly what I was trying to say there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I apologize. It's a little confusing as to the difference between private and what this speaks to. I'm sorry, I'm confused.
So a public event would be, it's not by invitation, so like the Fire Fit, it's a public event for the public, so anyone can show up. It's not an invitation only. And the difference with one of our halls is that's interior. The municipally significant event SOP is outdoor events.
That was where I was thinking about public versus private. You've clarified that, thank you. And I did notice it's an outdoor thing, but it was one of those things where I think about some sort of any sort of outdoor ceremony, a really small wedding or something like this, or something where there's just the bare minimum of people, but they would like to have the ability, the flexibility. I just see 100 people in a small township like us and thinking that's a little tight, but just a thought anyways.
Yeah, I think the other point there, Rob, is that a small private event would be extremely unlikely to be designated as municipally significant, so it's probably not relevant.
I apologize. My thought was, I went to a Legion to meet Doug Ford. There was 35 people there. So it came to mind. So I thought, you just never know when something like that could occur. And then all of a sudden it's like, we kind of tied our hands. But anyways, just if it's fine, everybody's cool with it, I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you. Rob, any other questions or comments on this one? Did I get a mover and seconder? I didn't, sorry. Can I get a mover and seconder for the recommendation, which is, where it is, there it is, the council received the report, and that bylaw 2025, being a bylaw to adopt a policy for deeming events as municipally significant, be enacted and passed, and the Reeve clerk be authorized to sign and seal. Councillor Milligan. Seconder, Councillor McDonald. Any further discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 8.4, electronic monitoring of employees. I know that sounds ominous, but it isn't really. Recommendation that council receive the report entitled Electronic Monitoring of Employees and that council approve a bylaw to adopt an electronic monitoring of employees policy. Can I get a mover and seconder to put that on the floor, please? Councillor Lalande and Councillor McDonald. Clerk Teeple, this is you again.
Through you, Reeve-wise, as mentioned in the report, this is a legislative policy that we're supposed to have in place. If there's any questions from council, happy to answer.
Any questions from council? In that case, all in favor? It's carried. You're voting, Councillor Lalande? Sorry to interrupt your journaling. That's carried, thank you. 8.5, medical tiered response agreement. The recommended motion is that council receive the report entitled Medical Tiered Response Agreement, and that a bylaw, being a bylaw to enter into a new medical tiered response agreement with Lennox and Addington County be enacted and passed, and the Reeve clerk be authorized to sign and seal. And 2, that the clerk and Reeve be authorized to execute the medical tiered response agreement with the County of Lennox and Addington. Can I get a mover and seconder to put that on the floor, please? Deputy Reeve Davison and Councillor McDonald. And this is being addressed by Deputy Chief Richmond.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is a tiered response agreement that we've had for a number of years, dating back to the 90s. The last update, I believe, was in 2007. So this update is to bring in the new dispatch protocol that the paramedics have brought in recently. It's a province-wide initiative that brings in a new protocol called MPDS, Medical Priority Dispatch System. So this new system has different nomenclature to it, different ways that resources are allocated out in the world. So we're just trying to align what we've traditionally been providing to the community to meet this new protocol. So that's the essence of it. Other areas of the province have gone through this already. They've had some growing pains with it. This took place in our area at the Kingston Dispatch Center on February 5th. We haven't noticed any major decline in calls or increase in medical calls. And I'm quite confident with the way that we have it worded and working with the paramedics that we're going to be providing the same service, but also reducing calls where we're being dispatched to, but having very little impact on the patient. So it's going to be a good allocation of resources across the board. So I'm happy to answer any questions about MPDS or our involvement with it or anything. So thank you.
Thanks, James. Any questions or comments? It's interesting that you haven't noticed a significant difference at this point. Mind you, it's just a couple of months. What sort of situations would you envision could avoid some duplication, or conversely, would there be situations where we would be more likely to be called than we used to? If you could give some examples of scenarios that you envision there, James.
Sure. So we're in an interesting situation here in Stone Mills with the base being stood up in, I believe it was 2019, the ambulance base, that is. So prior to that, we were doing a lot of medical calls because the ambulance was greater than 15 minutes getting to the patient. Once the paramedic station was there, that reduced that amount of calls dramatically for us because that ambulance is more available for us, which in my opinion is a great thing because those patients are getting a higher level of care, a better response. So areas around us, though, that don't have that paramedic resource there as much as we do, like Napanee, South Frontenac, they were going to those, which was before MPDS, called a Code 4 call, which had a varying sort of way it could be prioritized. So if someone called in, said that they asked them if they're pale gray or sweaty, and they say, I'm a little sweaty, but it's because I'm playing baseball, it doesn't matter. It gets Code 4, and you're going there, and someone's just, minorly injured. So it's going to reduce those calls because this new priority system really digs into the actual call. The call taking process is longer, but it does better prioritize that call so that the sickest patients are getting that resource quicker than the ones that don't. So we're sort of already, in my opinion, in that sort of area. We have been since the ambulance space has been there. We're not getting as many as of those greater than 15-minute calls unless the resource isn't there. So that's why we're not seeing that impact. We're still going to those high, acuity calls, the vital signs absent, choking, breathing obstructions. Would we see anything increase? I don't think so. I can't see any scenario that would see us going to increase amounts unless the ambulance resources are being used elsewhere in Stone Mills. But the new MPDS and the deployment plans that they have with it sees the low priority calls being serviced by the paramedics within that county. So you won't see a low priority call being serviced by Frontenac or Hastings. It will sit there and wait until the LNA ambulance is ready. So that's what will go on. So no big increase I don't see for us.
And you mentioned some other areas have had some growing pains. What sort of difficulties have arisen in some other jurisdictions?
So in the Peel region area, they were the first to go with the Mississauga Dispatch Center going. So they were going to far more medical calls than we were. They were going to lower priority calls. So when this came in, they reduced that. So it reduced their call volume down. But in my opinion, those are lower priority calls. The acuity is much less, and the impact the fire's having on those calls is far less. So not probably the best use of resources, but I think they've changed that a bit there and trying to smooth that over. So, but in the Kingston area, talking with all the KFLNA chiefs and departments in our area, no major concerns or problems since February 5th.
Good.
The one thing I will highlight that is a change for us, so the old agreement seen us going to every car accident that was out there. We still want to do that because there's things that happen at a car accident that aren't just specifically medical. We need to reduce the power or fluid fire hazards on scene. But what can happen is if we start patient care and the priority is very low for the paramedics, we could be sitting there waiting until an ambulance arrives, which if it was a low priority, could be hours. So what we've done in our agreement is said we won't be dispatched until the paramedics are dispatched. So if it is a major accident, they would be responding at that higher red priority, so we would be going essentially the same times they are. For the car that's just drove off into the ditch, minor accident, we're probably not going to do much there anyways, so it can wait.
Thanks, James. It seems like a sensible refinement of logistics, basically.
Yeah, I've had a lot of experience with the old dispatch protocol. This is very much needed, and the new MPDS protocol has been in place internationally for years and years, is constantly being researched and looked at and taking in data from calls and seeing what the patient outcomes are and refining that. So it's a very good system. And we have a good working relationship with the LNA paramedics. So if we need to change something in our agreement that's not working for us, they're more than happy to work with us to make sure that it's working for our community.
Good. Thank you. Any further comment or question? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? That's carried. Thanks, James. Which brings us to 8.6, Tamworth benches, ball field signage, and gale-tacked signs. Recommended motion is that council receive the staff report as titled, and that council direct staff to work with the Tamworth boosters on the installation of benches throughout the village of Tamworth, and that council directs staff on the purchase and installation in recognizing the efforts of Elsie Dowalik. Can I get a motion to that effect? Councillor Milligan, Councillor Fenwick, and Mr. Thompson, you're addressing this one.
Thank you. Revise through you. There's not much to add to the report. Open to any questions. There is one attachment of the design of the Elsie Dowlik ball field, and that was agreed upon by the boosters and the designer. And the benches have been ordered and purchased and in stock in our building now, and payment has been received from the boosters to the municipality. But I'm open to any questions.
Any questions or comments for Jeff? Yeah, no, this is good. I remember the request coming, and I'm glad to see it's come to fruition. What happened to those fail-to signs? Did they just wear out or something?
Yeah, good question. When we put the new signs up, they've got misplaced. So we actually agreed to change the color of the Celtic signs to, oh, I don't want to say now, but we changed the color and the design requested by the boosters again. So.
Okay, that's good. We have a motion on the floor. Any further comment? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. 8.7 is waiving of fees for brush disposal. The recommendation is that the report entitled Temporary Waiving of Fees for Brush Disposal be received, and the council authorize staff to waive the brush drop-off fees at Sheffield Landfill and Camden East Landfill for the month of April 2025. Can I get a motion to put that on the floor, please? Councillor Lalande and Deputy Reeve Davison. And Mr. Thompson, this is yours again.
Thank you, Reeve-Wise. I don't have anything further to add to the report, but welcome to answer any questions.
Questions for Jeff? What did you do on Saturday?
Which Saturday?
This past Saturday. Did you have a lot of brush coming in, and did we charge them, or did we just look the other way?
We didn't charge any.
Okay.
We just, kind of looked the other way.
Yeah. Was there a lot came in, or?
I haven't got the report back
Okay.
from them dropping off. They usually drop off on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I was hoping something like that would happen. Sometimes we have to bend the rules, and that was an emergency situation. Go ahead, Councillor Fenwick.
Just a quick question. Why don't we do this at the Moscow landfill? I'm assuming there just isn't a place for it, or?
Great question. We don't have the C of A through the ministry to collect brush at that landfill. And it's been like that for many, many years.
Yep. For whatever reason. We used to burn it, that's right, yeah.
That's where we couldn't burn it there.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments on this one? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. And we come to Newburgh curbside collection of waste material contract extension. And the recommended motion is that this report be received and that a bylaw to enter into a service agreement with Waste Services in the hamlet of Newburgh with Environmental 360 Solutions Limited be enacted and passed, and the Reeve and clerk be authorized to sign and seal, and that the CAO and Reeve be authorized to execute the service agreement for Waste Services in the hamlet of Newburgh with Environmental 360 Solutions Limited. Can I get a motion to put this on the floor, please? Councillor Lalande and Councillor Milligan. And Jeff, you're up again.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve Wise. Not a whole lot to add to this report again, but E360 is a contractor we've had for the past 3 years. No issues with garbage and recycling pickup. Come July 1st, it'll be just waste only. The recycling portion will be contracted out through our circular materials contract or agreement that we have in place. Very few details on that yet, but I'm hoping they'll start coming soon. And open to take any questions.
Any questions for Jeff? Sorry, this isn't part of your public input. Yeah, but you can talk to Jeff informally at the end of the meetings. Sorry. Yeah, yes, Councillor or Deputy Davison, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, Jeff, what happens July 1st if the recycling people aren't ready first?
I assume through circular materials, they'll keep the contracts that we have in place. We've already had one little hiccup. They pulled bins out of one of our landfills, and it was a communication error between circular materials and E360. But I'm hoping and skeptical that things are going to be in place. But I was also told that the recycling center on 41 will be accepting recyclables July 1st. And they've got a lot of work to do there to meet the July 1st date.
Anyone else? And are recyclables and garbage picked up the same day in Newburgh now? Is that how it works?
Currently now they alternate every other Monday.
Okay.
So hopefully we can keep the same schedule so it's kind of a smooth transition. And in the report, we kind of mentioned that if the new contractor that's picking up the recycling may have a co-mingle or waste and recycling that they could do on the same route or the same day. There might be cost savings there, but we don't even know who our contractor is for recycling yet, so officially.
Okay, so that remains to be seen. Anything else on this item? Very good. All in favor then? Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Which brings us to the end of the individual items and brings us to our consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Councillor Lalande, Councillor McDonald. I can never remember. Do you want anyone to mention what they want pulled at this point? Is there any item anyone wants to address from the consent agenda? None? In that case, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Notice of motion or direct motion, 11.1. Councillor McDonald provided the following notice of motion at the March 17th, 2025 council meeting. The council directs staff to bring a report back to council outlining current policies regarding the CAO's performance review and options for implementing an updated policy. The recommendation is that council directs staff to bring back a report to council outlining current policies regarding that performance review and options for implementing an updated policy. Can I get a mover and seconder for that? The mover is already, sorry, Councillor McDonald, obviously. A seconder then, Councillor Fenwick. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Do we have any notice of motion this evening? Yes, Councillor Fenwick.
Yes, actually, I do have a notice of motion here. I'd like to make a notice of motion at the next council meeting, I plan to bring forward a motion regarding the renaming of the Enterprise Rink in honor of the late Werner Detler. Werner was a community volunteer, local business owner whose contributions are nothing short of legendary, and I believe it's long overdue. So I'd like to have that added to the agenda.
Thanks, Rob. I'm not sure if I've got a notice of motion. I received a letter from a resident, Jeff Sloan, who lives near Camden East, who was unhappy with the fact that the county work on the roads and intersection a couple of years ago necessitated the removal of some very nice trees, including a large oak he was particularly fond of. He understood that, you know, the road's being widened, that's going to happen. He sent me a letter offering to purchase and donate an oak tree or whatever council thinks is appropriate for the little park in Camden East. So I'd like to have that brought up for discussion at our next meeting, whether it requires a motion or not, or just a discussion and a report at that point. But that's, is that good enough for you, Randy?
Through you, Reeve-Wise, yes, I can put it on the next agenda as a notice of motion that it be discussed
Okay.
and possible direction to staff.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have a notice of motion? Does anyone have a direct motion on some urgent matter you wish addressed this evening? None noted. In that case, I need a mover and seconder for a confirmation bylaw. I'm looking at you, Councillor Fenwick, and Councillor Milligan. All in favor? That's carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Land, Councillor McDonald, all in favor? Thanks very much, everyone. You can ask your question to Jeffrey if you want, Mr. Detler.